What's up, everybody? It's Carlton here with Carlton is Maddening, and I'm going to kick off with our first Madden Overdrive video for this season, a new feature that I like to call Scheme Week. So for the next week, starting tomorrow, we are going to start off with breakdowns of coaches, we'll have breakdowns of plays, we'll have breakdowns of captains, we will go in depth with one particular scheme. Now, for those of you that have followed us, subscribed to us, seen some of our other videos, when we try something new, we just try and go big. And so what better way to go big than to start off with the vertical scheme? To me, the vertical scheme right now is probably the best bet for most players out there. You have access to the best captains. You have access by now to the best coaches. You have access to great plays. You have access to fantastic boosts. And all of these put together, it doesn't matter if you're playing Overdrive, if you're playing Leagues, if you're playing any other feature out there, if you're doing the new seasons, any feature, vertical scheme right now is probably your best bet. So we'll go into a little bit of detail here on this one, highlight some things, and then every day this week we'll start rolling out play breakdowns, coach breakdowns, everything else that you'll need to maximize what you can do using this vertical scheme. So let's just go ahead and get started. So here's a list of all of the captains that are available to you. And to me, the most important thing you can do is find a captain that you can maximize your points. Now, a part of that is making sure you'll be able to actually obtain your captain's bonus. But each scheme has one captain and one captain alone that actually provides the maximum points. So if you look here under the West Coast scheme, it's actually Todd Gurley. You see there the captain bonus, 165 points. For the vertical scheme, which is the one we're talking about, it's Jimmy Graham. Now, it says 185 points here. His base is also 165. Because he's so fantastic, I've leveled him up a lot. Now, the other ones you'll look at are both Kareem Hunt here for Smash Mouth and for Spread, Russell Wilson. And you'll notice that for both of those guys, you have to get to a level in the 40s to be able to use them. Now, there are some people there right now. That's not most people. So first off, right off the bat, those two captains to get maximum points are probably not even on the table for most people. So you really only have two options to choose from. You have the Todd Gurley here at West Coast, and then you've got Jimmy Graham. Now, if you look at Todd Gurley, in order to get his bonus, you need to have 6 receptions with your halfback. And I don't know about you guys, but to me, that's not a play that I normally use. Those aren't the routes I'm looking for. If anything, those are the checkdowns. And so, to try and design around an offense that is throwing the ball to the halfback, especially in modes like Madden Overdrive, where you're trying to get the ball downfield, hitting a halfback with a bunch of out routes and the flats, screens like that, it's probably not the best way to go about it. So just right off the bat, Jimmy Graham has to be hands down the best captain. You need to get 175 total receiving yards, but really that's essentially just a trip from the 20 back to the 50 and back up to the 20. So for most people playing Madden Overdrive with 3 minutes there, that is not an unrealistic ask, especially if you're throwing the ball almost all the time, because it's not wide receiving yards, or it's not tight end yards or halfback yards. There's no qualifier on it. It's just receiving yards. It doesn't matter who you're throwing the ball to. So already out the gate, we know Jimmy Graham, here's our captain, vertical captain. Captain, set your base playbook. And so as we go through later on during the week and we break down these plays, we'll look at all the great plays you have to get the ball down the field and score touchdowns, or if you're doing leagues, reliable plays to move the chains consistently using Jimmy Graham and the base vertical playbook. So then the next thing we have to look at is, what type of a coach do we want to use? So you look through all of these coaches they have available, and to me, Mike McCarthy stands out for a couple really good reasons. So the first one, you look down here at tactics. the very first one under offense. It's only a 1-point tactic, but what it is, and we have him trained up a little bit, but you have a wide receiver boost to their receiving yards. Now, they already get 1 point per receiving yards, and it's at 1.5 boost, so they're actually getting 2.5 points then per receiving yard. And if you get McCarthy trained all the way up, it's actually a +2 points boost, which means you're getting 3 points per receiving yard throwing to your wide receivers. And especially if you've got a wide receiver in the slot, you now have 3 fantastic reads and options as you're playing to try and get triple points from what you normally would get. Or just right out the gate. There's a lot of the scoring rule adjustments come later on. So not only do they cost more, there'll be, 4 and 5 points to actually use. You actually have to work your way up to get there. And so by the time you get to actually use them, you're 2/3 or more of the way through your overdrive. If your opponent never hits or changes the scoring rule here, then all of a sudden you get to use the scoring rule for essentially the entire overdrive match except for the first play. That's about all it takes under Jimmy Graham, 17 seconds to build up your first point to use it. And once you're able to do that, you look at the very next offensive play. If we're throwing the ball, what it does is force inside coverage. So you have another 1-point tactic that you can use right out the gate. And as soon as you hit those, you can spend the rest of the match just firing off defensive tactic after defensive tactic after defensive tactic, trying to make life difficult for your opponent. And if you're winning these, padding the coffers with more additional points. So from a tactic standpoint, Mike McCarthy, fantastic, because you can get out the gate with a fantastic scoring rule boost that you can use with the plays that you have from Jimmy Graham in the base playbook. Now, the other thing that's great about Mike McCarthy is the playbook. And you see it right here. One of the favorite plays for anybody at the top of Overdrive right now is quick slants. It's got a good read. You can pick up both big yardage if you can break a tackle or two, as well as a very, very reliable look if you're playing leagues, need to convert, a difficult 4th down or so. So it can go for big yardage, it can go for short yardage reliably. But if you look in there, one of the most difficult things in Madden Overdrive is goal line. If you get stuck near the goal line, you don't want to be spending 2 and 3 plays to try and do that. So there are a couple good plays you have in the base playbook, but you have another fullback dive, you have a fullback dive strong, you've got a lot of good options, plus you have a lot of plays that have both go routes as well as inside or corner routes or post routes that you can look at. And so we'll break those down a little bit later too. So the playbook is also fantastic with McCarthy. So you're not sacrificing plays in order to use these tactics. So both of these two combined mean that you are going into these matches able to start off right away with fantastic tactics, but you've got great playbooks and great boosts you can use and earn throughout the entire Overdrive match. So now, let's just take a look at an example of some of the types of plays that you'll be able to use in your Overdrive match. As we go forward throughout the week, we'll have a much more thorough breakdown of the reads, of the options, of how you're going to look at these pre-snap to determine, your priorities for where you want to throw the ball. But let's just go ahead, hop on over to film study, and see where these things can take us. So the first play we're going to look at here is Fade Smash. And so Fade Smash is fantastic because you've got a couple reads that are usually pretty early you can look at. So let's go ahead and pause it here. We've got a single safety deep in the middle of the field. So depending on what the corners do, you can either hit the tight end on the post route, or if the corners stay low, you can hit the slot receiver here. So let's go ahead, run the film forward, see what the corners do. We'll go ahead and get the ball snapped, and we'll look at that corner on the left-hand side. So the corner squats, we're going to be able to hit the receiver from the slot and just take it upfield and move the ball either down the field, or if you're in overdrive, that's probably a touchdown. So the next one we're looking at is double slot under. We're going to read the press corner on the outside. If we're able to beat that man coverage or that press coverage, you can fire a bullet pass right away to the receiver to get the ball moving upfield. One great thing about that play is you'll be able to have a couple different reads, and you have a check down from a running back running a crossing route underneath, where both of the cornerbacks sync back with your two receivers on the outside. You at least have an under route you can hit as a safety check down. So the next play we're going to look at is going to be 4 verticals. We'll go ahead and pause it right at the pre-snap. What you're going to end up seeing is here, this is a dime look. And so you've got 4 players that are all running deep. The most important thing on this play is to be able to identify where you want to throw the ball early. Because you have 4 vertical routes and the tight end is running a real skinny post. It's not just a 9 streak route. But the most important thing is you don't really have a good check down. The halfback does kind of come out, but more than likely if you're waiting on him to come out, you have already probably been sacked at that point in time. So you really need to know where you're going to throw the ball early. So if you get a cover 2 look like you have here, then you're going to want to look and try it, hit one of your receivers early on. So with the cover 2 look, you again want to read the corners. If the corners keep sinking back, it could be a man, it could be some type of a cover 4 route. You'll want to look at your inside receivers. As soon as either one of them get any type of inside leverage toward a hole in that zone, fire a bullet pass. So we'll go ahead, roll the film here. You actually see the dime back splits out. It must be in a low zone here. So we'll fire the ball, hit the tight end, get our 20 yards or so, and move the ball upfield. The next thing we're going to look at actually is going to be play action slot crosses. This is a fantastic play because you have a pretty simple read on it. You have a wide receiver on your right, if it's not flipped, running a streak route. You have a crossing route from the slot receiver on your left, and all you're going to do is read the cornerback on the right and the safety. If the safety either sinks back or somehow takes himself out of the play, then as soon as a crossing route clears that line of the safety, you can hit that wide receiver or tight end, if it's a tight end in your slot, hit that receiver and move the ball upfield. If somehow you end up with single coverage on the outside, the safety sinks in or something else, and you have a wide receiver and quarterback capable of throwing the ball over the top, then you've got a fantastic option for 30, 40, 50-yard gains throwing the ball over the top. So go ahead, rolling this play forward, you take a look at it, and what you'll see is we do have a look on the outside, but as soon as that crossing route clears, the defenders, you throw the ball, hit them. If they can get it upfield before they hit the sideline, they can actually go and move the ball upfield. So the next one we're going to look at here is play action smash. Pausing it at the pre-snap, the first read you're going to look at is actually just to the immediate right of your offensive line. This is going to be the halfback. It's got a good option on a post route up the middle as soon as he clears a linebacker. The other good option you have is your tight end actually to the left is going to run a corner route. If the defense slides over to the offensive right, the safety slides over and they can get outside leverage, you actually can get a lot of good passes out to the outside corner to that tight end. So go ahead, rolling that play forward here. We'll go ahead and take a look at it. And what you'll actually see is as soon as the halfback clears the linebacker, the middle linebacker there, fire a bullet again right up the middle. If you have challenges where you need to either throw the ball to the halfback or you need a good play for 15 yards or so right up the middle of the field, this is a fantastic option. It's a little weird because it's a play action pass from an empty backfield. If you notice at the snap, the quarterback actually fakes the quarterback sneak, which is how the play action comes in. It's a little weird to think about a play action pass from an empty backfield, but it works. You've got 2 options. Both are very easy reads, pre-snap and immediately after the snap, to get the ball down the field for 15, 20 yards or so. Next play we're going to take a look at is quick slants. We talked about it earlier. It's a fantastic play. You've got a couple different reads, And when we run it, you can see you actually, if you flip it to the right for right-handed quarterbacks, you flip it, you just want to read that slot player coming across. If they can clear the defense, particularly in any type of zone coverage, and you can break a tackle like you did right here, you can actually get the ball for huge gainers because the field's going to open up because everyone else is covering players that have moved over to the other side of the field. Safeties, linebackers are all moved over. Sometimes you'll get a different look where you can hit the tight end if it's a man coverage, but that's the primary read on that one. But it's not just about throwing the ball. There are good running plays available. So here are a couple of them. The first one, you're looking primarily at short yardage and goal line. So you've got, either some type of a halfback lead, halfback dive in this case is a great goal line play. You've got a fullback dive play that's also on here. You can see for short yardage. The last thing you want to do is get tied up at a goal line or get tied up on a short yardage play for leagues. Using McCarthy, you've got a couple other fullback dives. Now here, the last play, we'll go ahead and pause it pre-snap. This is the 2-point conversion play for the league players out there. And it's crucial because, especially right now, the 2-pointers are probably what's determining a lot of the outcomes of these events. And so by being able to have a good 2-point conversion play, you set yourself up for continuing to put up 24 after 24, day after day after day. It's really where the hay gets made in leagues right now. And so it's a simple read. If you look at just the linebacker here, if the linebacker goes out, you cut it in. If the linebacker stays in, you cut it back out. So we'll go ahead and rolling it forward here. We'll go ahead, snap the ball. You'll see the linebacker actually kicks out to the out wide. So we just kick the ball inside, cut it back, and that's that. So all of these plays will break down a little more in depth later on, but what you see here is you have a wholly enclosed system within the vertical scheme that is one that has great coaches, has fantastic captain boosts that are easily obtainable, and has a great playbook for a variety of circumstances, both in Overdrive as well as leagues. And so right now, because all of the coaches are attainable, the captains are attainable, you don't have to worry about having to train up and get your experience up in order to get to higher levels to unlock better coaches, because they're all available to you right now. Put everything together and you have a pretty unstoppable package, both for leagues and for Madden Overdrive. So if you have any questions, if there are any breakdowns, any plays you want us to do specifically, feel free to drop a comment below. We'll see what we can do to accommodate that. Otherwise, if you want to be notified when any of our other content drops this week or later on in the season, feel free to hit the subscribe button below. If you found this video helpful, make sure you hit that like button to let us know that you enjoy the work we're doing. Otherwise, we'll talk to you on the future videos. Good luck, and good luck with the rest of the season. Take care.